and Christy Michael of Long Long Honeymoon, hashtag Loloho, coming at you with another episode of the Loloho Show, our own little chat show. Today we're joined by a special guest, baby girl, the Chihuahua.
Say hi, baby girl.
Hi.
And we're talking about a nitty-gritty RV camping topic, specifically towing a travel trailer. And we're going to give you our top 20 travel trailer towing tips today. I just threw in another T word for good measure.
Thought we only had 10.
Well, we started out with the top 10, but I'm thinking we can bump it up to 20 by the time you total up all the tips.
Okay.
Just trust me on that.
Okay.
So, without further ado, let's get to the tips. Our first tip is get a quality tow vehicle that's appropriate for the task. And I'm not going to belabor this point, but we have seen some extremes throughout the course of our travels, including some people who've been towing very long, very heavy rigs with very short wheelbase, very lightweight tow vehicles. And just because on paper it may theoretically be possible, doesn't mean it's a good idea. And so we advise that you get a tow vehicle that is equipped with a tow package, that's got the integrated brake controller and limited slip rear differential.
I think there are a lot of cars that can tow a big camper. My biggest concern is I want a tow vehicle that can stop my camper, because that is when things get scary. The problem is when you're going down and you want to slow down and your vehicle is struggling to do that. That is scary. That's when bad things happen. You know, go above and beyond on the safety aspect in this one.
Well said. Next tip, always conduct a pre-flight walk-around check of all your systems. We do this before we travel anywhere. Typically, I'm inside the tow vehicle, behind the steering wheel, with the engine on running. Christy is walking around the rig, and we test our brake lights, turn signals, and running lights, that sort of thing. And we found that quite often some grit and debris and dirt can get inside the little connector cable that connects your tow vehicle to the trailer. And so sometimes those lights don't work. You can't just assume they're going to work because you have it all plugged in.
Sometimes your plug just might not be pushed in quite as far as you think it is. And that, you know, little couple millimeters makes a difference in whether or not it's got a connection, and that can cause you to not have brake lights.
Next tip, when you're putting your safety chains on your tow vehicle from your trailer, cross them in an X. I cross them, and sometimes if I need to, I will twist the chains just a bit, because that will help me adjust the height from the ground.
You don't want them dragging the ground, sparking.
Right.
How many times have you been on the interstate and you've seen somebody driving like that? It's dangerous, and you know, and it's going to wear out your chains.
And by the way, what does crossing the chains accomplish? Well, one thing it accomplishes is if for whatever reason your trailer came loose from the tow vehicle, like popped off the hitch ball, then they would fall and rest on the chains. Hopefully that will never happen. I've never seen it happen, but when you think about it, you'd be better off if you have those chains crossed. So, next tip, reduce weight if necessary by emptying your water tanks. Water, as we have previously discussed many times, weighs 8.3 pounds per gallon. Water is heavy. I mean, probably the heaviest thing you're towing around is your water that's in your water tanks. So if we ever need to lighten our load, the first thing we do is dump our water tanks. Now, I like traveling around with some fresh water because it gives us flexibility, but you know, maybe we don't need a completely full freshwater tank. Our full freshwater tank is 54 gallons, which translates to 450 to 500 pounds of weight. So we might, you know, drop that down a little bit, depending on the circumstances. Next tip, distribute your weight evenly with a bias towards the front.
Yes. When you're packing, don't pack a lot of stuff you don't need.
And Don't overload the rear of the trailer. I think that's probably the worst mistake you can make from a weight distribution standpoint, because you're gonna get much more trailer sway when you're towing if you have too much weight in the rear. It's recommended that you put 10 to 15% of the total trailer weight on the tongue, and that will provide the most stability for you when you're traveling down the highway. Now, I don't run up and down our trailer measuring percentages of weight distribution, so I think you use a little bit of common sense here.
If you're carrying heavier items, put those in the front. You know, lighter items in the back.
And if you're traveling from national park to national park, for heaven's sakes, don't collect rocks.
Yeah.
All right, next tip. Check your tire pressures, kids. Now, here's where our experience may deviate just a bit from the standard practice. Some people will say you should inflate your tires to the maximum rated tire pressure. We typically slightly underinflate our tires so that we're running slightly below maximum tire pressure.
Especially when we're in really hot environments. I mean, when you're towing across Arizona and it's 102 degrees outside, you know, you want a little room for those tires to expand when they get nice and hot.
That's right. I mean, this is based upon our experience, specifically our experience with tires blowing out and delaminating and coming apart at the seams, that sort of thing.
We fixed lots of damage.
We found that that's more likely to happen on hot days. And here's the thing, when you're traveling down the highway and your tires get up to running temperature, the pressure is going to increase a bit. So if you already have them at maximum pressure when you roll out of the campground, you're going to be running above maximum pressure when you're on the highway, in my humble opinion. I'm not making hard and fast recommendations. I'm making suggestions based upon our experience.
And you may want to talk to your mechanic, your tire guy that's familiar with the tires that you have on your trailer, and get some advice from them. But we're just going off of our personal experience of having several blowouts on really hot days. And since we have started slightly underinflating our tires in those situations, we have not had a problem. Knock on wood.
Next tip, use anti-sway and stabilizer bars.
Yes.
Now, we got our anti-sway bars and our stabilizer bar day one with our trailer. It was just kind of included in the whole package. If you did not get those pieces of equipment with your trailer, I would highly recommend that you get them.
Especially if you're going to be towing across the Midwest where it's nice and flat and very, very windy. You will notice a difference if you are towing with stabilizer bars or without.
You know, we've towed our Airstream at this point through 49 states. And I really believe those anti-sway bars and the stabilizer bar made a huge difference.
Yes.
Because we've really never experienced much in terms of trailer sway, which I understand can be quite terrifying if it ever happens to you. So I think it's really cheap insurance to get these pieces of equipment.
Ever been behind a camper on the interstate and it's just bouncing around left to right all over the place? That probably means they don't have a stabilizer bar or anti-sway bars on.
Right. Next tip, use your tow mirrors, kids. And I guess I should preface this by saying get tow mirrors if you don't have tow mirrors.
Yes, yes. Extend your tow mirrors if you have built-in mirrors that extend, because extending them makes a huge difference. Remember all those little stickers on the back of 18-wheelers that say, if you can't see my mirrors, I can't see you? Well, it's true. That's why tow mirrors extend.
And pay special attention to the bottom mirror of those tow mirrors, because that's kind of the wide angle mirror, and it shows where you might have any kind of issues on either side. Like when you're towing down the highway, that should be the first place you look. Like whenever you're making any kind of lane change or turn, whatever, or backing up, look to those bottom tow mirrors. Next tip, lane changes. Be extra careful with lane changes. I wanted to emphasize this and make it a separate tip, because when you think about towing and the things that can go wrong, I mean, one of the major problems you could have would be to make a lane change too quickly in a way that negatively impacts the flow of traffic or causes a terrible accident, really.
Yep. Put your turn signal on well in advance. Change lanes very slowly. You know, ask your seatmate, whoever's traveling with you, if you happen to have somebody with you, to take an extra look for you sometimes. That's always helpful.
Next tip, take wide turns, unapologetically.
Left-hand turns aren't as big an issue, obviously, in the US. Right-hand turns are where you are going to need to swing it wide. Again, those stickers on the back of an 18-wheeler that says this vehicle makes wide right-hand turns, well, this is why.
That's exactly right. I mean, you need to drive your rig as if you had one of those wide turn stickers on your rig, because you need to make wide turns when you're turning right.
And it may not be a bad idea to put one of those stickers on your rig.
And what happens if you don't take a wide turn? Well, you could clip a curb.
Or you could bash in the side of your rig with like a street sign or a stop sign or a light pole or whatever.
Yeah.
But the quickest thing that you're probably going to do is blow a tire, because you're going to pop it on the edge of the curb and it's going to deflate.
Which may have happened in Amarillo, Texas, to some people towing an Airstream. That's what I've heard. Maybe.
Yeah. If you hit a curb with your tire, it might also bend your axle.
Oh, face palm. Next tip, use your trailer brake, kids. Now, if you have a quality tow vehicle with an integrated factory tow package, you're going to have a trailer brake control. Ours is on the dashboard of Seymour, our truck. And you got trailer brakes, use those brakes. First of all, this doesn't wear down your tow vehicle brakes nearly as quickly. I mean, if you're doing all your braking with just your tow vehicle, that's putting a lot of wear and tear on your tow vehicle brakes. Secondly, it's just safer. You've got two sets of brakes. So I usually go first to the trailer brakes, and then, as necessary, we'll use the tow vehicle brakes. And by the way, next tip, use your engine brake.
Yes.
If you have a good factory tow package with an integrated engine brake, you put it into that tow haul mode, and your engine will effectively brake your rig and downshift for you. It really makes a huge difference.
I mean, when you're in the Rocky Mountains and there's a 14% grade that you're going down, that engine brake, you're going to be saying, "Thank you, I'm so glad."
Yeah. I mean, when you're on one of those steep declines, you want to use everything in your arsenal. I mean, including the engine brake, the trailer brakes, and then eventually, if necessary, your tow vehicle brakes. Next tip, relax. Go the speed limit or less. I mean, I like to drive at a brisk rate of speed.
Someone has a lead foot.
Well, you know, I've done a little sports car driving in my past, and I enjoy traveling at a healthy rate of speed. But when you're towing a rig, you just got to change your mindset, because you're not like all those other cars out there. You can't make quick lane changes. You just need to take your time getting where you're going to go. And as part of this, I would say another tip, don't travel tired. If you're tired, pull over. You're towing a bed, for goodness sakes.
Yes.
If you're tired, pull over and get in the bed and veg for a while, rest.
Don't tow when you are not at your best.
I don't know the percentages, but I'm sure a lot of accidents happen when people are just tired.
That's when mistakes happen.
Yeah.
You know, you aren't as alert as you should be. You forget to use your trailer brakes. You forget to signal far enough in advance before you change lanes, or you start falling asleep and then you miss an exit and then you slam on the brakes. I mean, all those sorts of things happen all the time, and, you know, trade off. I mean, I know a lot of people that, you know, only one of the two people on the trip will tow. And if you're somewhere that's wide open, give that person that doesn't have as much experience a chance to give it a go, because I think that's one of the most important things, I think, to me, is that I'm comfortable towing our camper, and that's a good thing, because there have been times in the past where Sean's been sick or, you know, has had a headache or what have you, and if I didn't know how to tow, we might just be stuck wherever we were. So that's another thing. I think it's really important for, you know, both parties that are traveling to know how to tow the vehicle, to be comfortable doing that.
I think that's a great point, and that leads into yet another bonus tip. travel in off-peak hours if possible. You know, we've towed during rush hour in Miami, in Newark, New Jersey, facepalm.
Terrible. Los Angeles, DC, a lot of places that are, really memorable for all the wrong reasons. Last time we left Los Angeles, we left on a Sunday afternoon, and we sort of planned our route so that we would encounter the least amount of traffic, and it really made a significant difference than if we had been leaving on Monday morning. Even if you just drive to the edge of the city and stop at a Walmart parking lot and spend the night, I think you're much wiser to do that, the evening before you really want to get out of town, rather than waiting till 6 o'clock on Monday morning and trying to navigate rush hour traffic. It's just not worth it.
Don't you agree, baby girl? Yes, I know you do. We have an unofficial rule, walkabout production group.
Yes.
The best time to travel is when the rest of the world does not.
Yes.
In other words, we like traveling during the off season to places. We like traveling at odd hours if possible, because life's just a little bit less stressful and more enjoyable when there isn't a big rush of traffic and people. And also that affects your odds of having an accident. I would think you're much more likely to have an accident during rush hour traffic than you would be when traffic is sparse. Just common sense. All right, so that completes my list. There you got at least 20 travel trailer towing tips from two people who have towed an Airstream travel trailer through 49 states.
That's right.
And are still alive to talk about it.
That's right.
So we must be doing something right.
Knock on some wood.
Baby girl, do you have anything to add to the discussion? She says, I think we've thoroughly covered the topic. We are Sean and Christy Michael of Long Long Honeymoon, #LoLoho. And if you have any tips that you would like to share with our community, leave a comment.
Yes.
And share, because we enjoy reading your comments. I know a lot of other people in the community enjoy hearing what you have to say. Until next time, LoLoho.
If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you disliked it, give it a thumbs down. Feel free to leave a comment. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.